Good
It's
morning.
Robbie.
Robbie. Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay. My
Thank-
camera is very weird.
So is mine.
Mimi, your haircut's so cute.
Oh, thank you. I went short.
Mimi does my hair too, except I don't know how to style it. Sorry, I'm eating soup. I have to work till 6 and I have people back to back, so I'm trying to eat some soup.
That's good. How's the baby doing? How's mom?
They're all healthy. Oh, Mimi, you didn't know I got COVID 2 days after I saw you.
Oh my gosh.
And so we exposed the baby to COVID by mistake because we didn't know it. My son came down. He brought it to us on Friday night.
Oh,
His coworker had it. He didn't know it. And then we were all sick for 10 days and we had seen the baby. We were so worried, but the baby didn't get it. Megan didn't get it. It's been-
good.
yeah,
Good.
interesting, yeah.
But he's growing up faster than a magic bullet.
The way she was so flipped out that we did that to her. I think he'll be 18 before we ever get to see him again. Of all the mistakes to make, and my son is the sweetest guy. It was.
I'm sure he didn't mean it, or but it happens.
I know. We went through from Jeffrey, his coworker Jeffrey, me, my other daughter, her roommate, her boyfriend. I mean, it was just like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And me, I know Mimi. Your parents got it, and they did okay, right?
It was a tough one for them, but especially for my dad, because respiratory, it got into his lungs and everything, and he already has asthma. That was a tough one. And when they're at that age, 80s and 90s, took a toll on me. So, but they survived.
Has he totally recovered?
Totally recovered, yes.
That's good.
For me, I lost my taste and my smell, and I don't think I've ever done that in my life, and it just felt so weird. But it was like going through Weight Watchers. I couldn't eat. I lost like 8 pounds. It was
Oh my
Wow.
goodness. I wish I could get that.
You don't want it. You don't want it. No.
But when I had it, it was back in May that I got it. My taste buds kept coming and going. Like some things I could taste and some things I couldn't. But I didn't lose any weight.
I didn't lose any weight.
That's not fair.
Hi, Lisa and Mary Beth. I was just telling him it was like going through AA and Weight Watchers. I couldn't drink alcohol for 2 weeks. I lost 8 pounds. I couldn't eat. I couldn't smell.
Oh,
I know, but I have to eat some soup because I have to work till 6 tonight.
Are you feeling better, Janet?
Yeah, I just have that little cloggy thing, and now I guess you've got a cold, right? And
I just have a cold, and it just Spencer had one, so it was bound and determined that I was going to get one. So, but I just stayed at home all weekend and just drank gallons of fluid and did nothing. So hopefully I feel okay. I'm just feeling I'm not congested. I'm just froggy.
Mm.
okay. Well, if you want me, as soon as I get this stuff down my throat, I can help it anyway.
I think it's good if you just talk with food in your mouth.
Just don't choke,
So
please.
attractive. Are we still going to Peru, Mary Beth?
Well,
I knew somebody was going to ask me that today. Yes. Yes, I have to start I have to contact the person who can set everything up for me.
Lynn Martell is doing altitude training in Colorado right now.
All right.
So she's getting ready for it.
At 9,000 feet, she'll be ready.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah, she took some oxygen, she said, that helped her. Last time I was in Colorado, yeah, you get hammered on one cocktail.
Yes.
And tennis balls don't bounce. So those
Yeah, don't do anything for 24 hours. But I mean, if you go with us, Lisa, you can get hammered the first night because we'll be in Lima and that's, sea level.
Okay. Something to put on my diary. First night in Lima, I was hammered. Yeah, no, it was, you know, what was kind of fun about it too is the second day there, we did a hike up the mountain. It was Beaver Creek where we were, and the hike was up where the ski go, the people that ski down. But this was during the summer, so it was nice and pretty. And I started with the group to do the hike, and I wasn't even in the first switchback. And I looked at him and I said, "Yeah, this isn't going to work for me. I'm going to go back down and take the chairlift, and I'll meet you at the top." You know, everyone was like looking at me like, "How could you give up?" I'm like, you know, I'm here for fun. This is fun right now. Janet, you would have ran past me.
Oh, yeah, maybe. I don't know. You know, I don't, if we don't take it as competition, but just go enjoy the whole experience, it'll be fun, right, Mary Beth? And I want Lisa to come.
There's no other way to see the Andes. I mean, it's just, you'd have to be a drone to be able to see the Andes the way you can see it physically standing in it, right? So, I mean, that was incredible to me. What they did to us was scare us and say, if you're not in shape, because we did the Inca Trail, so it was, you can do different lengths, right? So it was 4 days, 3 nights, I guess it was. And they scared us by saying, if you're not in shape, the only way to get you out of the Andes is to fly a helicopter in and pick you up and take you out. That's the only way. So you better be in shape.
So did you train, Mary Beth?
Yeah,
Did you?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gotta throw this away.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get in shape to go wine tasting in 2 weeks.
Yeah. See,
Challenge
however,
myself.
only Janet and a couple of other people want to hike the Inca Trail. The rest of us are just going to go and, you know, walk around the city and go to Machu Picchu in a nice train. You know, I mean, yeah, not everybody is going to be pushing themselves physically, but you shouldn't drink the first night that you're in Cusco.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because it's, I mean, my brother-in-law, huge, you know, strong guy, he did that, and then boom, he was just out of it the next day. So it's not worth it.
Okay, all notes I'm taking down. Good morning, Marilyn. Are you getting any feedback besides that from us on your podcast?
I know, thank you. Yes, yeah. No, a lot of people are sharing it. It's getting a lot of hits. It's so weird because, like, I had to call wait, I'm sorry. What are you doing, Kitty? Oh, Kitty's like, they're all going, they love this energy and they're all going nuts. I had to call Hector because I had to say, did I talk about this on the second one? Because I have to write the introduction and I don't remember. I really don't remember. And we're doing 2 on Thursday. So, but they already downloaded the topics, so that's good. But all the book people and the pod people, that's what we call them, the pod people. Everyone's happy with it, my agent and all that stuff. So that's good. They would tell me if they're not. But I'm happy.
How do we leave a review?
I don't know, because a lot of people did, and I was told I have to read them, and I don't know how. So I'm like,
Probably go on Mind, Body, Spirit, right?
okay, yeah, because a lot of people said they left reviews and stuff. So yeah, I should look at that, huh?
Yeah, so mind body, spirit.fm.
I told you I'm so not, you know, just let me channel, you know. Yeah.
It was the first podcast I've ever listened to.
Oh, thank you.
Mine too, yeah. I loved it. It was great.
It was
Especially the
wonderful.
end when you told us you got this. I love that.
And how about when Lisa, I don't know if you've listened to it, but she goes, all right, take a breath, breathe. And I go, oh, she did that for Lisa.
Breathe. Yes, I did. I did listen to it.
I really think that doing our little meditations have helped me to do this, because it's a different kind of channeling. It's group channeling, but a really broad audience. But I'll be hearing what I'm getting from higher up, but then I'll hear entities come in and say, oh, my mom, this or this one. And then I'll just hear them make it into something that could appeal to a lot of people as opposed to a specific. So it's funny. I think that channeling for groups and for helping parents heal, because that could be a few hundred people too, is they've been teaching me, so it's a different kind of channeling. So it's really fun. And I also realized I thought I could do the technical part. No, it pulls you out of it too much. So so it's a learning curve. But thank you for the support, because I'm learning so much with this village, and how's everybody feeling? Janet, how are you? How's Hannah? How's everybody?
Yeah, we're all coming out of it. I just have a little bit of congestion, but I was telling him it's like going through AA and Weight Watchers all at one time. It's like lost 8 pounds. We'll never drink alcohol again. I mean, it was just interesting. It was just, it's all right. It's okay. I wanted to say for Ilona, if you haven't read her book, it was such an incredible experience. And I don't know if my review came through because it did. Okay.
I think it did. Yes, I think it
Okay. That the combination of you and Marilyn was like, whoa, what a weekend, right?
I learned so much from your book. It was really phenomenal. I mean, I had no idea that we have other three-dimensional lives simultaneously in other galaxies. That is amazing.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So much information. Thank you.
Wonderful. I'm just thrilled that people are able to take it and use it, and it's out into the world. Amen.
Yes.
Thank you.
It seemed like the first couple of chapters I was having a hard time because I don't know all the different names and people. And then all of a sudden, like you told your own story and everything started clicking. And I went, oh my gosh, I've really thought that so many times. And Marilyn's telling us it's true. And, it's like, this is so cool. Yeah.
Wonderful. Yes, I think there's a bunch of people who said to me, you put into words what I've been feeling, but elucidate. Great. Wonderful. Mm-hmm.
Did you have a nice birthday, Ilona?
I did. I was really tired. I had the fall festival.
I have it in my email.
So I was wiped out, but I did. I had a sweet night with my brothers, and my brother has been teasing me about turning 60 all year long. So that was the end of the teasing. It's over. I was like, I'm there. You don't need to tease me anymore. It's all fine and it's all good. So yes, it was very, very sweet. And actually, I had another birthday party with friends yesterday. So I'll take it if it can keep going for a couple weeks. Yay.
Yeah.
You've arrived.
She's celebrating.
Marie's got a birthday coming up.
Yes, on Friday I turned 53.
Yay.
I had one yesterday. I'm now in my
Happy
late
birthday.
60s.
Birthday.
Thank you, Roberta.
That's wonderful.
Geez.
All of us October babies.
Libras, lots of Libras.
Yes.
Yeah, Marie, you're a Scorpio, right?
I'm a Scorpio.
I have a Scorpio. My sister's a Scorpio. What were you saying, Mimi?
Janet's birthday also.
No, mine was in August.
Oh, my bad. Sorry.
But the baby's birthday was a Libra, so that's good. And he joined all of you.
There you go.
Yes.
So I think we can get started. Janet's going to kind of lead today just because I'm a little froggy. Marilyn, if you wouldn't mind starting us with your prayer of protection, and then off we go.
Can I ask too, because I'm still congested and I don't have a meditation. Marilyn or Ilona, do either of you have one?
So I'll do something because Marie, I thought this chapter was so important. So I can pull off something on this hands down, no problem.
Oh, good. So we'll do the protection and then Ilona, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yay. Take a deep breath. And we clothe ourselves in a robe of light, composed of the love, the power, and the wisdom of divine consciousness. We wear it not only for our own protection, but also so that those who see it or come in contact with it will be drawn to divine and healed. On the next breath, feel the energy of that divine light. Let that light surround you. Let it permeate you. Let it fill you up and emanate from you. And reflect to each other and to divine consciousness. And we remember that we are the light and we are divine consciousness. And take another breath, just feeling the joy of that. And there it is.
And so just stay in the light that Marilyn has created and see that light congealing as a white, brilliant sun shining beneath your feet. Like the sun that we see in the sky, except that sun is beneath your feet. And feel that starlight, because the sun is a star, feel that starlight expanding all around you, and see yourself as the fusion generator on the inside of that star. And as you are the fusion generator on the inside of that star, feel that star connected to all the star systems in our quadrant of the Milky Way galaxy. Because that star is connected to lots of stars. And as you settle into that connection to the star systems, whether they be Andromeda, Sirius, the Pleiades, Arcturus, Lyra, Vega, wherever you are drawn to go, Andromeda, Alpha Centauri, allow that starlight to transport you to another star system in which you have a life. There's a part of you that's alive there, that's exploring existence, that lives out among the stars. And then from that vantage point of your celestial origin home, take a look at the Milky Way galaxy and see how tiny Earth is. And as you have this much broader, expanded view, listen to what this part of you that lives in another star system says about why you came to Earth, why you moved through the sun of our solar system to be alive on this little planet, 3 orbits away from the sun. And allow the starlight to be the medium of connection through which you hear this truth about where you are, why you are here, and how you belong to what's occurring on the earth. And as you take the time to make this connection, we're going to use some frequency to help you settle in and awaken this new awareness. Now, this part of you that lives in this other star system is going to give you a gift, a message, an opportunity, a talent, an awareness that you're going to then take back with you as you return through the sun of our solar system into the orbit of the Earth, through the atmosphere, and into your physical form on the planet. And as your consciousness, expanded and aware, descends into connection with your conscious mind, it works through the mind of the soul to deliver this message: the importance of your being here, the reason that you've come from so far away to be so attentive to a little world in a solar system stuck at the edge of one of the spiral arms of a beautiful galaxy. You matter. You belong to something much, much greater. And through your soul, this truth comforts, motivates, and enlightens. And so it is. Big breath, big breath.
That was lovely, Ilona. Thank you.
You're welcome. A bit out of this world and then into the world.
That music was divine.
Okay.
I just wanted to ask a question about it. Ilona, to feel back into a physical body, I know Marilyn doesn't like the whole experience, but I really like the experience. And so it started out by, wow, I wanted to go back and feel pain and ecstasy and all the different feelings and touch animals and feel nature and all the touch other people, all that. But then the whole thing about fearlessness came through.
Mhm.
It was very interesting. I wonder if other people had that experience at all.
Anybody? No. Just you,
What-
Jen.
No, well, that makes sense.
I had the image of the little prince.
Oh,
And then so that became me. I was aware of more behind me, but that was kind of me. And so when me from Earth came, I got a hug.
Yay!
oh.
But I don't have anything like fearlessness. I do have a solid feeling. Does that make any sense? A solid feeling, yeah. Like I'm here, I'm okay. Yeah.
And
Oh,
I was going to say, I wonder if that's part of the experience wherever we were. I don't think we had this solid feeling. It was like, whoa, this is different than where I came from.
So it's different for everybody because every star system has its unique experience that it's sharing with creation. So nobody's going to have the exact same experience, but the fact is you are all having visceral experiences, which proves to you that you do have lives out in the stars that are actually participating with you here as you develop those connections and they turn into relationships. Mhm.
And Marilyn, what did you want to say?
oh, I was going to say, I know what you mean because observing here and why I came, I kind of got the same thing, not the daredevil kind of thing, but the joyfulness about nature and animals and, and why. And then it just kind of flashed all that negativity. I was like, yeah, that's double up. That's why. And it's interesting because, Ilona, what you say about everybody having a different experience, I think we're guided to take the experience in whatever direction. And I felt like, and your voice, oh my God, the music is magnificent and just takes you. At some point, my guides were saying to not engage and to engage differently. And then it was almost like I would branch off and then I'd hear your voice and we'd meet. And I thought, oh, that's pretty interesting, you know? So it makes me think of how different religions, different things start with different words for basically the same thing, you know? So it's really interesting. I find that just basically in meditating, and again, it isn't like I'm so disciplined, but just looking at yourself from out there, wherever out there is, you know, really gives you perspective. And I think what you're saying, seeing the joy of why we came, I think that's brilliant, you know, to focus on that.
Mimi.
My experience was I felt like I was in a different planet with all of you women. It was just women, all women running this world. I don't know. And then I got a major hot flash coming. But then I don't know where that came from. Maybe it's because what my country is going through with the power of women leading, trying to lead the country, and it was weird. It was just all of us women, and all of you were there. That was
So Mimi, it's not weird. There are worlds that are way beyond our comprehension, and many of them are run by women, and many of them are run by men, and some of them are run by horses. You know, I mean, it's what we think about is such a tiny piece of, I mean, there are worlds that are just dragons. I mean, and I've visited many of these. So it's not like I'm talking out of my head. I mean, I've actually been to different places like this. So don't underestimate the fact that you came from a world of women to be here now and to be a touch point for all the women in your country who need to know that they can make it, that you have faith and hope in them, as we all do. And many of us have connections multidimensionally and higher dimensionally that all come together at the times most necessary.
great. Thank you.
Yeah, no, how interesting. So if we felt like we were a horse before, could we have been a horse?
So I'm going to say that generally human, you know, in terms of being human, you have been many things, but I would say that the way that you're talking about another creature, another being, don't associate that with animals here, right? Don't associate that with animals here, because they're the creatures that are out there that are populating planets, they're equivalent or higher than us. They just happen to have a different biological form. So do you see what you don't want to make it the animal kingdom versus the human kingdom. Then we're really talking about the nature of being and the consciousness of beings. I mean, whales and dolphins are Syrian, they're cetaceans. They're much higher beings than actually humans are. We don't treat them that way, but they came here to assist us in the oceans because of their level of evolution. And eventually, as we rise to our evolutional level, they won't need to see us. They could go back home because we have to be here. But so that's a different way of really understanding the equality of being rather than kingdoms of nature. That got a little bit intense. That is the actual answer to your question.
Okay. I think my dogs are probably more evolved than I am. I mean, they're so sweet. You know, their animals are so sweet. Yeah. Anybody else want to share anything before Marie gets us to the next? And I don't know which chapter we're on, but any other sharing? No. Marie, so where are you?
It's chapter 9, and it's places we go when we search for connection, belonging, fitting in, connection, disconnection, insecurity, invisibility, and loneliness. But I think the biggest important piece of this chapter is the belonging, the difference between belonging and fitting in. And in my life, I've experienced the fitting in part versus the belonging. In the book on page 159, she defines belonging as a practice that requires us to be vulnerable, getting uncomfortable, and learn how to be present with people without sacrificing who we are. So belonging means that we could be with our community and feel like we don't have to mask. We can show up as we are. And fitting in is masking up in order to fit in. And for me, the first memory that came in terms of the fitting in was corporate America. I remember I had been invited to a meeting and they wanted what I knew, my knowledge information. And I remember walking in and instantly reading the energy in the room, and I knew I couldn't just show up as me. I had to mask up. What was interesting about that is that it like literally threw me out of my alignment, and I felt so discombobulated afterwards, and I couldn't pinpoint what that was until I realized that I had literally had to mask up and not be who I was in that space. And I think that that's when it really hit me that my time with corporate America was coming to an end. And but yeah, it's something that you really feel that if you're not masking up, I call it masking up, but basically is doing whatever the other group is asking of you in order to fit in. In sociology, they have the in group and the out group, right? And if you're not in the in group, then you're considered part of the out group, and you don't fit into that structure. So belonging is such an important piece because that's where we feel safe, we feel connected. And unfortunately, we don't always have those communities. You know, this is why we have people that feel lonely and disconnected. Anybody's thoughts about belonging?
Well, so Marie, isn't high school the worst as far as fitting in? And I think, I don't know if that was in your book, Ilona, too, but of how awful it felt. And I don't know if anybody else felt like I just tried to disappear because there was no way I was going to fit in. So I thought if I can just disappear, then I'll be okay. So it wasn't masking up. It was, trying to not be seen. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. In high school, I just felt like everybody around me were children. I just felt so much older than everybody. So in that sense, I didn't fit in because I just thought it was ridiculous. I felt so much older than everyone. So yeah, the world in high school, it's just that world, and it's hard for kids to conceptualize that there is a world beyond high school until they get out and they're like, oh my gosh, there's a whole world out there. Aside from the world.
I had that same experience too of, since I started managing the household so my mother could go to work and my father left, from the time I hit junior high, I really didn't feel like I was on the same level. I was dealing with, adult stuff because now I was the adult in the family because there was nobody else there during the day, and actually probably part of the nights as well, because she did work a lot of nights. And for me, I actually spent probably more time in the office as an office aide as a way to avoid having to deal with the kids that were my age, because I had nothing that I could relate to, in that interaction. And Jess and I were talking about it yesterday, about how we've both felt that we did not belong in our families. And that's still the case. I happened to talk to both sisters and my mother yesterday. Don't know what I was thinking about that. Because it's always not a good idea to call and talk to all three of them at the same time. But it, it really brings that back. And even still, I don't feel like we belong. And I'm guessing that probably a lot of people here had that same experience of not feeling like they belonged in their own family.
Yeah, Robbie wants to say.
I can relate, Donna. It's like everybody's there, and it's very nice to see them, but we just, they're like they belong to a different culture from a different country. It's
true.
to look at, but you can't really, what you say to them doesn't really connect with them.
Right.
And you know, actually, I found that after my parents retired, and they were retired for like forever, and they became different people. And that actually made it harder because they were more connected to each other and more isolated, I think. And that also made it
That makes sense.
difficult. I have something I wanted to say. Since we're talking about belonging and okay, so it's belonging and Marie, tell me the other term. I'm sorry.
The fitting in.
And fitting in. Okay, you guys, I went to a cultural event for a club that I should feel comfortable at yesterday. And I was very sentimental because it was I'm Puerto Rican. It was a Puerto Rican house at Balboa Park, and they were having a 50th anniversary. And I was teary and I was very sentimental, and I had my food, so I was happy. Yet I did not feel like I belonged, which is very interesting. You know, everyone was very nice, but I don't feel like I could connect with them on a genuine kind of level. So what's all that about, Marie? Come on.
Well, I think you're addressing one of the sections where she talks about belonging uncertainty, and it addresses where that cultural piece, where what was it, Paola in the book, one of her research assistants talks about where she doesn't feel neither belonging to her original culture or here, neither there nor here kind of thing. Which many of us that are biculture or triculture, that's been our struggle when we identify with the mainstream culture, but at the same time, our culture of origin also pulls us in. And so we're trying to walk in balance between the two of them. And I know in my development, there was a time where I felt, out of balance with that because I was completely aligning with the American culture, but I was wanting to also embrace my Latin culture, which, it was hard because as a kid, you want to go where everybody's in and not so much where, but my family was, they instilled in us this sense of pride of what our origin is. So I think it's hard for kids when they grow in these types of culture situations because you don't feel like you quite belong. You're trying to find where is it that I fit in. And so that's what you're describing. It's that uncertainty. There is
May I?
Yeah, you've been wanting to talk. Yes.
Yes, I can 100% relate. In fact, Marilyn, I don't know if you've had a chance to read the book yet that I wrote, The Fable, The Little Green Frog. It's basically about my life. I didn't belong in my family. I didn't belong in school. And so in high school, I learned I call it becoming a chameleon. And whoever I was around, I would adapt myself so that I could sort of blend in with other people. And it worked until probably about age 36. And then I lost my best friend, not through death. She just said, we're done. And then I had another friend and she said, oh, nope, we're done. And that's about the time when our group began, our 4 people book group. And it was the first time in my life that I felt like I could just be me and just not have to put on that mask or be a chameleon. And it's whenever I'm with people who are on this journey, who are in light and believe in the power of healing, that's where I'm most comfortable, the belonging part.
Yeah. Beautiful. And this goes right where what you were just talking about. She has an important quote here. She says, love and belonging are irreducible needs for all people. In the absence of these experiences, there's always suffering. So for us, we have to have love and belonging.
Yeah, it's a foundation. It's like Maslow's hierarchy. You
Yes.
oh,
Oh,
plug
yes.
for my book. It's on Amazon if anyone is interested. It's in the form of a fable.
Beautiful.
Thank you, Marilyn. Thank you.
Really beautiful.
Mimi.
I'm going to tell you a little story about myself about belonging, fitting. I was 10 years old when my parents moved from Iran to here, and it was hard to adjust. I didn't feel like I belong here. I didn't have any roots, didn't have any friends, so I struggled a lot growing up. But then a couple of years later, hostages were taken, if you all remember, and Iran was all over the news. All the stop signs that I walked to school said "Stop Iran." And I did not feel like I belong here anymore. It was horrible because the harassment that I used to get from the kids back then, go back to your country, you know, give us back our hostages. I didn't know how to deal with that. But then came to high school later on, I felt like I'm an American. I am one of everybody else. I felt like I belong. I fit here. Later on, after I got married, I started going back to Iran just to visit to see what's going on. And at that time, there was the war with Iraq. And I experienced a lot of ups and downs, didn't know where I belonged. Do I belong here or do I belong to there? I love Iran, the culture and everything, but I hate the government. I can't stand the government. And later on, I thought, okay, I consider myself here. This is my home. This is America. So talk about back and forth, fit, don't fit. Do I belong here? Do I not belong here? Finally, with this movement, women movement, I finally got so proud of my country, you know. It was funny. I went to the biggest gathering this last Saturday to LA area. It was more than 40,000, mostly women walking the streets and chanting, get rid of this government, women, freedom, lives, as you've seen it in the news. So talk about belonging, fitting, back and forth, such a up and down. I don't know where I belong now. It's so weird.
I think Mary Beth wants to say. Is she, we can't, can you guys hear her?
I can address this a little bit. So those of us who grew up in two cultures, there is a study done about us and they call us third culture, which I reject. We can choose to be bicultural. I had to come to this as an adult because I had the same push and pull, right, between the culture I grew up in and the culture of my parents and that kind of thing. So I decided if I don't do that, I allow those other cultures to erase each other. Right. So if I can fit into one culture, fine, and nobody knows I have this whole other world, then I can fit into that culture and they know I have this other world, but they don't want me to be in it. So I decided I am a whole and I am both. And that is me, right? So I can contribute to both cultures because of that duality. But I don't want either one to erase the other. And they do, they want to, especially in high school, right? So they're like, no, you're with us. But after high school, we're not in high school anymore. So we can embrace both aspects of who we are and not be a third culture. I think that is ridiculous. But if you look it up, it's on Wikipedia. It's like, no, sorry, I'm both.
But Mary Beth, does that give you a sense of belonging in either culture more than one or the other? Or?
Yes, but not complete. right?
Well,
So
we've talked about this because of my kid, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah, yeah.
I don't right now. I don't. I don't think he's benefiting from any of his cultures.
right, but he's going into high school and he's got a very dysfunctional father. So
Yeah,
poor kid.
right.
Yeah.
But you know, the funny thing is, yesterday all the presidents of this Casa de Puerto Rico spoke for a moment. One lady was talking about how she came to. She was raised in Hawaii. She didn't belong any. You know, kind of like I was raised in Hawaii. My dad was military, and then I went to another place, and I went to another place, and I went to Puerto Rico, and they said, "Oh no, you're a gringa," you know. It's
Yeah,
like,
see, they always want to tell you what you are.
and the thing is, yeah. So, but then she didn't elaborate on that. She did not elaborate on that as like an alienating thing. She went on to tell a happy story, but I was stuck there because I know if you go to Puerto Rico, and even if you speak fluent Spanish and you're fluent in your culture, if you were not born there, there's going to be a distinction. It becomes people love to compartmentalize. It makes them
Yes.
so secure feeling,
Right.
you know?
But I think Ilona would address this in terms of 3D and 5D, right?
Yes. Do you want me to talk to that?
Everyone else.
I don't know. You want me to talk to it or not talk to it? That's one of the reasons why I did the meditation that I did. Because interestingly, in the book, Marie, in this chapter in the book, she talks about belonging links us to our shared humanity. And without that, we never really belong. So, you know, from the ego's perspective, the ego is always looking for threat and danger. So if you're not the same, right? If you're not the same, the ego is going to go, not in my world. And the ego likes to put all the same groups together so there's no threat. There's no different idea. There's no creativity. There's no diversity. It gets really pretty boring, stifling, and suffocating. But the ego likes that because it can control it. The soul is always linking. The soul is always connecting. The soul has a non-judgmental, unconditional respect and regard for the presence and purpose of one anywhere. But to get to that level of awareness, you have to be able to really recognize third dimensional existence for what it is, how it works, and then you get to make a decision about whether you want to navigate that or whether you want to transcend it. And sometimes we have to navigate and transcend at the same time. But the bottom line of that transcendence is this unconditional regard and respect for your humanity as a divine being in a physical body. And once you settle into that divine respect, there becomes a sacredness for the human experience that allows you to transcend the really bad behavior of others under the control of the ego. You're not condoning them, you're not congratulating them, but you're not attaching to that. You're choosing to go beyond it and to find the place where one of the statements that I use is, I'm most effective where my loving belongs, right? When I can love, right, I will be most effective. And that's the place where I'm going to feel a greater sense of belonging, because my love can be effective in those moments. And that's where we have that sense of shared humanity, and we connect on levels that are not defensively driven, but that are open to experiences of inclusion and opportunity. And so there's a big degree to which you just can't freaking care about what anybody's saying or doing. You got to be really true to yourself, your purpose, your meaning, your mission, and you got to trust that the soul's going to make those connections, and you're going to have the support that you need and the protection that you need when you need it. And you go through life with that fearless regard so that you can joyfully contribute. And it changes the way that you experience your understanding and participation in humanity. And I'm not saying that any of this is easy. Please hear me, right? But if you reach that level, then everything becomes very, very, very different. And I learned, the basics of this very powerfully when I was a social worker in residential treatment with psychotic, abused, and suicidal kids, and working with people in poverty and parents who were trying to kill their kids, and cultures and situations that had no resources to really provide any stability. And you had to just reach into your humanity, because if you didn't reach into your humanity, you were never going to get anywhere. It was just going to be one fight after the other. And we had to put all of that aside and say, you love your child. Now, how are we going to help this happen? And then at that point, miracles can happen.
Oh, good. Sita.
Well, I agree 100% with everything you absolutely said right now.
Okay.
And I have a funny story, a funny experience. When I first got to college, for me, it was a way out of town because I was so limited as to who I could be living where I grew up, and everybody knew me, et cetera, and put me in boxes. So when I got to college, absolutely nobody knew me. And so I was really trying to find my identity and my group of people, and who could I fit in? Well, as the year went by, or just even within a couple of months, lots of people were coming in new, and lots of people had already been there for years. So they had all this welcoming things, and so we got to know each other really quickly. And I got in with 5 different groups of people. I was trying to find my group, my barrio. Where could I fit in? And I'm kidding you not. I literally named 5 different groups, and they would not interact with each other. And I was like, I couldn't understand. Like, we were all going to college, right? But coming from Oceanside, there was literally a surfer group, okay? And I could talk to them. I could hang out with them. I could go to the surf meets, but I'm telling you, they would just hang out with themselves. And then there were the intellectuals, which I loved. They would talk and talk and talk. They were the poets. They did this. They were crazy, just very interesting group of people. Then there were the Blacks, and they were trying, this was in 1969. So they had so much anger, and they were trying to figure out how to fit in, but they stuck to themselves. And then there were the Mexicans, who at that time were called Chicanos, which I could not relate to, but I tried to join that group. And then there were the environmentalists, the people that would go hiking, the Sierra group people. I'm telling you, for the entire year, I would go from group to group to group, and it was mind-boggling how there was very little interaction for the entire year. Isn't that amazing? So what I finally did is I just dropped out completely, and I finally found the hippie group, and they accepted all people. They were not, there was so many different styles of people in the hippie movement. And I had moved up to Humboldt County, and there was just thousands of them. And there were many, many styles, but they all talked to each other. Isn't that something?
Mhm.
No, I think exactly what you're talking about was very common in high schools too, where you had the intellectuals, the jocks, all that.
The preppies.
You and I grew up at the same time. And yeah, when the hippie movement came in, it was like, whew, I'm okay now.
So
I get back to theme, you guys. If you go back to the book, okay, so I don't remember titles, but but the 4 agreements, it seems to me one of the part of the essence of that is being true to yourself.
Being
And I
impeccable
think
with
it was
your
Marie
word.
that just touched on it. And I think I see it as kind of saying that in a different way. And I've been sort of feeling that way about myself. I am now old enough that I don't need to do something to fit in. I can be who I am. And Roberta also can relate to that. And, you know, and that's really the way to be happy. And so that's, and yet yesterday I was talking with someone who tries really hard to be the chameleon that Roberta was talking about. And it's so stressful and it leads to all sorts of misunderstandings. So
Takes a lot of energy.
yeah.
Marie, can I address something?
Yes.
So as I'm listening to everybody talk, the belonging that I see coming through everybody on the call is much more about a desire for depth in relationship. None of you are seeking the superficial stuff, right? Everybody here is seeking an authentic expression of personal evolution and being able to participate, contribute, and share in that. And I don't think that that's a cultural issue. I think that's a human issue. And I would venture to say, you know, there's a whole variety of us from different backgrounds on this call. And what links us together is our commitment to that evolution. And we can put everything else aside or bring it into the conversation and make it part of the depth of our connection. And the general experience in the population is not depth, it's superficiality. And so I think the bigger question that we're talking about here in terms of this group and the level of belonging that we seek is the ability to have a significant, impactful relationship with somebody who contributes beauty, goodness, stimulation, and challenge into the experience of our lives that enlighten it, that inspire it, that motivate it, and that make it worth living.
Yeah, Ilona, that's what the book is addressing as connection.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And in the 4th agreements, that is being impeccable with your word, showing up as you, not having to mask, feeling this, your own belonging, because you have to belong to yourself first, and then you can belong to others. And so the whole basis behind that is connection. And if you're not connected, then you start feeling isolated and lonely, which she talks about in the book. And when you are in that space of isolation and loneliness, that's a lethal combination, because that disconnect could lead to illness. That's how people stop thriving, when they feel alone and isolated, which, by the way, loneliness is more of a perception issue. She went on to say that the disconnection is so painful and chronic that at times it leads to social isolation, loneliness, and feelings of powerlessness. So if you look at what for most part, when we have fear, behind that fear is that sense of powerlessness, which then takes us to what our negative self-belief is, whatever that is. I'm not lovable, I'm not worthy, whatever that is, but it really is that sense of powerlessness. And so for us, connection is very important, which we thrive in that belongingness because we feel supported.
Right. And I think that this group really helps with that, and other places that we're getting that. But I know for you, Marie, and other people, the clients I have that are experiencing the isolation and loneliness, they're in so much pain. And it's like they're stuck, and I can't seem to get them to go, this is not the way it has to be. But I'm at work right now, so I have to get off. But I'll pass the baton to Lisa or whatever. Right?
Thanks, Janet. And we'll see you soon. Have a good
Yeah,
day.
I love being back here with all of you.
Bye.
Thank you. All right, bye, you guys.
So Marie, I'm wanting to be compassionate. But I mean, including my own mother, you know, encounter people that to me, are choosing to be lonely, are anticipating that as they get older, they'll be all alone. And as a result, making probably not great decisions current day to prevent that. And it's for me, it's such a hard thing because, I look at these people and they have so many friends and they have, a spouse in some cases. I can't say my mom's husband's wonderful, but, she's got him. And so, but I myself am like, my life has so much in it. I don't have room right now to, indulge a male's psyche. You know what I mean? I don't have time to take care of that person. I'm perfectly okay with that. I'm very content, is that the right word, with the idea of being okay being by myself, knowing that I have within this group here and my group of friends, I have the companionship. So, but I look at people and I'm like, I don't know how to, like my mom, her discussion with me a couple of weeks ago is, well, I don't like my husband, but who's going to take care of me when I get older? And my comment to her is, how can you trust him to take care of you? Because you don't like him and I don't think he likes you that much. How can you trust him to take care of you? Decisions. But so it's a dilemma. It's real, and I'm trying to be empathetic to it, but I think some people choose to be there.
I just want to say I made it, Lisa,
Hi, Penny, I see you there.
with a few minutes to spare, I guess. Sorry. Anyways.
Lisa, so that goes to mindset, a fixed mindset versus the growth mindset, and it also made me think of Michael Singer and the Untethered Soul, where he talks about how easy it is to sit and lean back in the seat of the soul and just let the noise go without interacting with it. And he talks about how easy it is, but yet we make it so difficult. And it takes us again to the mindset. That fixed mindset is what keeps us in that space versus the growth mindset is the one that looks at all the possibilities. And so you keep engaging and interacting till you get where you need to get. But with a fixed mindset, this is what it is, and you just succumb to it.
Yeah.
Lisa, the other thing I was going to say is your mom is not the only person. There are so many marriages of convenience where they really don't like each other. I mean, that's most of your dating app experiences. Honestly, they're just looking for this because they're too scared to be this, and so it's not an unusual third dimensional experience. And without a growth mindset, that's just sort of where they go.
Yeah. And not a lot I can do short of asking her to move in with me. So we'll burn that bridge when we get to it. Hi, Cito, what did you want to say?
Oh, well, I have another suggestion, is to, as scary as it might be, learn how to voice it, how to voice what you're really thinking and feeling to your mom. And I'll give you an example of she was like my second mom, my auntie. When she was old, she fell and had to go to a nursing home. I cannot tell you how much guilt I felt. And my mother, her sister. Oh, we just could not stand the idea that she was going to spend her last years in this nursing home. And it was such a struggle for me to go and visit her. I was freshly single. I had children that I had to take care of, and I wasn't getting any money other than what the money I was making. So time was so limited, and yet I had to drive all the way over there to see her, and it was breaking my heart. And I would talk to her and she's like, ay, mijita, and this pain and that pain and da, 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 da. And, this is the way martyr people talk, just for general sake. I'm using the word martyr. But so I was feeling so guilty, like I said, and I would talk to my mom, and we would try to figure out if we could bring her home. And so I finally discussed it with my mother. And my mother says there's no way. She was feeling it too, but there was no way she could take care of her sister because she was old and she couldn't physically do anything. So I started thinking, okay, how can I bring her to my home? So anyway, guilt overload. I went to her and I finally just expressed it. And I'm telling you, when you express what your concern is, and you're saying your truth, you're being really honest, it allows the other person, hopefully, to be honest and say their truth. And you know what that little old lady did to me? It was so surprising. But, you know, she had a little mischievous sassiness to her. So even though she was like super old, she would always say, no matter what, she's got to get her eyebrows on. So I got to the point when I would visit her and her eyebrows were crooked, right? But they were still getting on there. So she ended up telling me that there was absolutely no way she was going to move in with me, et cetera, et cetera. First of all, her skin and everything hurt so much. And she said, there's no way we could ever deal with her. To pick her up when she came for Thanksgiving, she admitted to me it was so painful, but she came because we were just begging her to come. But anyway, then she said, and you know, they've got some pretty nice, handsome men here helping me. She says,
That's the
there's
real
these
reason.
there's these two guys at nighttime, and they come and they give her a bath and they roll her over, and she's like, okay. So I'm telling you, that took the pressure off. But of course, I cannot tell you, you can imagine what you're going through, the torment that I was going through, because she was truly my second mom. And she had done so much for me. And she had been much nicer to me than my regular mom. It was just breaking my heart. And then there was the truth. So it's like, just express your concerns. Mom, I really want you to be happy. Do you want to be happy? Are you happy? And then you can see another side that she's been holding out.
So, Marie, is there a bow for this?
Well, the bow is really, it'll take me back to the 4 agreements, right? It's being impeccable with your word, which really comes down to first having that self-belonging, self-compassion, self-love. If you can do those things, then you can go out into the world and own yourself and still be able to interact. And if I think in terms of Michael Singer, it's as simple as he says, you know, stop giving in to all the noise and own who you are, you know. And it's not an easy thing. I do think oftentimes when I hear people's stories and what was the reason why they came to this earth, sometimes it's such a simplistic answer, except we just make it so much more complicated than it needs to be. And why? Because we have a hard time letting go, you know. And Janet's gone because she's got a whole book on letting go.
Yeah, darn it. You know, this is just another example, like for me, when we were talking about this. But, you know, I have friends, I have a very full life. But when Spencer was in high school, there were a group of moms that I was just certain I belonged with. You know, and they did a lot of things together, and they were very social, and they had these events, and occasionally I'd get invited, and I was just certain that's where I belonged. This is my group. I'm with the moms, the hip moms kind of thing. And yeah, I didn't. And they never really took me into their fold. I mean, they've always been kind and nice to me, but not on that intimate level with the others. And it took me years later to look back and say, that's not my group. You know, they all go to bed early. No, none of them are out late with me, you know, carousing, whatever it was, you know, the case. But I think that there is also some maturity to understanding where you belong as well, right? And one of the things, Ilona, that came, one of the gifts that came from our meditation today was the word content. Kept popping up for me, content, content. And that's how this kind of circles around for me, from your meditation, Ilona, to what we're talking about today. This contentment I have, which is, I think, a good thing.
Yes.
I
Yes.
think-
Yes.
So, yeah.
Can I ask a question? Can I ask a question, since I'm an interloper here, having joined late? Have you been doing humiliation and embarrassment as I thought that
Well,
was
we're-
supposed to happen?
That was the previous chapter.
Really? Because that's what I heard last week, that we were doing humiliation and embarrassment.
No, we covered that last week.
Wasn't I here last week?
Yes.
I don't know, folks. Okay, whatever. So what are we on now? Just in case.
It's chapter 9 on belonging.
Okay. Well, I didn't read that one. All right.
It's a good one. It's a good, but we'll do 10.
Huh?
Yeah. Next week, we're going to do 10 places we go when the heart is open.
Okay.
It's love, lovelessness, heartbreak, trust, self-trust, betrayal, defensiveness, flooding, hurt.
So right now you're doing 9,
Yes.
and next week will be 10.
10. Uh-huh.
And Penny, very possibly last week when I was leading, I was discussing the prior chapter because I had forgotten to read ahead. So if you came in at the beginning, I had you on the wrong chapter last week until Marie corrected us. So I'm embarrassed about that and humiliated.
Well, then I don't have to be. I don't have to be embarrassed and humiliated. All right. I'm sorry. That's what I heard, and I just whatever. Okay, I'm glad to know where we are. Then I'll try to be on schedule and on time. I mean, on point, whatever. Thank you very much for letting me interrupt. I'm sorry. So I have nothing to say about all that other stuff, belonging, whatever, unless you want to hear a long story, and we won't go through there.
Lisa, technical, can you share the recordings? Like just on email?
You know what, as you said that, Mary Beth, we're on the exact same wavelength. I think that that's probably the better way for me to do it. We have a YouTube channel, but I, for some reason, can't get these videos to share to anybody. So I think you're right, Mary Beth, at the close of every day, I will just attach the recording that goes out to everybody, and then at least you have it. So we're on the same page. I think that'd be a good idea, because Penny, we started today with a really nice, beautiful meditation from Ilona that I think is kind of a gift worth reliving. So,
okay, great.
Robbie, did I see you wanted to say?
Yes, Sita, you talked about speaking one's truth, and I think that was one of the things that helped me find the belonging part, was that we were all searching for what is the truth or truths, and it was so important that the superficial stuff really didn't matter.
And I would say briefly, even though I'm not really into this thing, is that I moved to California, to Los Angeles 10 years ago, from having lived in the Midwest forever, my whole life. And it was hard to find a place to belong. I mean, my kids were here, but they're not going to have me all the time, right? So I joined book clubs, I joined a women's club, I joined all kinds of stuff, which I'm really not that much, and I'm not that much of a joiner, but I did. And then gradually I just began to feel that, okay, I'm at a certain age. I'm not going to make super wonderful friends here. I have a few, and I enjoy them very much, but all of the friends that I made all my rest of my life were back in Louisville, Kentucky, or Highland Park, Illinois, and they're not anywhere near here. So I better get busy and be comfortable just being here, doing things occasionally with my family, of course, events, birthdays, whatever. And I do feel that way. I feel like you do, Lisa, pretty content with what I'm doing, even though I'm not anywhere near as busy as you are. And I'm not going to be. I don't really want to be. At 81, I'm, whatever. I've been there and done that a lot of times and in a lot of different ways. And if I wanted to, I could. But I'm just feeling content being who I am right now, right here. Thank you very much. That's it.
So that's authenticity, right? And in order to feel that sense of belonging, the key here is being authentic.
Okay.
And fitting in means being superficial.
Yeah.
So
right.
staying on the surface, and Ilona had addressed the depth, that when you're belonging and you're being authentic is because you are seeking that deeper connection, the depth. And in fitting in, you're not. It's all superficial. It's just staying up above and not really connecting.
It wasn't hitting the right zones. What can I tell you? Just try. Thank you. That's very nice to hear. Ilona knows me fairly well because I've dealt with her in her therapy, and she has actually, Ilona, you're the one that's always telling me I should do more, I should be with more people and all this stuff. And I don't want to, I just don't want to.
But the reality is that you already did that.
I did do that. And I don't feel that it's something you can just run into in a totally different town, totally different atmosphere. I mean, this is culture shock, LA, as far as there's a birdie, as far as I'm concerned. It's just a very different vibe. And I don't know what else to say about it. I'm glad to hear about the authenticity because I feel okay with it. Whether anybody else does or not, I don't know.
But what I am going to say, Penny, is you showed lots of courage, tons of bravery, and you worked really hard for this level of contentment. And it was a long journey through all of those phases of being displaced and then finding your own grounding and then moving into that authenticity. So congratulations, you're a wonderful example of settling into a new phase of life with joy and opportunity and finding that depth that keeps you motivated every day. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Penny, every once in a while, those of us who are here in Southern California get together physically in person.
That would be nice.
So when we do that, you will be more than welcome.
Okay.
I think that's what you might be, that kind of connection might be right what you're looking for.
I agree with you because you don't always meet people like you all, in the grocery store or in the book club or whatever else. I mean, and I consider this what an older friend of mine in Louisville used to say about her life, and she had some medical problems and issues, stuff like which I don't, thank God, at the moment. And she used to call it, well, this is a new chapter. This is my next chapter, and she would adjust to that and deal with it the best way she could. And I like that. I thought that was really helpful too for me as well. Thank you, Ilona.
Penny, I'm glad you joined us even just for the last few minutes to share.
I am too. I was, you get there and you do it and then you come back, and I just hoped you were still going. So I'm glad you are.
We're still going.
I was ready to do humiliation up the yin yang, but no way. So just forget it.
So ladies, next Monday is Halloween. I don't know if that's significant, or should we plan to meet next Monday? I think trick-or-treating doesn't start till the lights go down. So in case you're planning to trick-or-treat, I think you'd still have time. Should we plan on meeting Monday? Is that okay with everybody?
Yes.
Okay, let's do it then.
I won't be able to do it.
Oh, Donna,
we have doctor's appointments on Monday morning.
Okay.
So
Right.
yeah,
I'll send the recording out.
please do.
All right. Thanks again, ladies. Thanks again, Alona, for a beautiful meditation.
Yes.
Thank you, Marie,
thank
for
you.
I
leading
look
us.
forward to
Thank
that.
you.
We'll see everybody next week.
There you go. Oh, you have two of them now. They're so pretty. I love them. Oh, they're gorgeous.
All right.